Hello Wolfpack, welcome back to another Bitcoin video, and today we're going to be answering a pretty important, well, I wouldn't say it's a question, but it's pretty important regardless, and that is the title of this video, the 3 most important things that you should be watching on Bitcoin right now. This is ranging from the next 24 hours all the way through to the next few months really, and the first one we're going to be looking at, and all of these again, all of these are of equal importance here, but the first one is the most pressing matter because it is very much within the next 24 hours. In fact, by the time this video gets out, it'll be within the next maybe 22 hours, and that is the 200-week SMA. Now, we know what this is. We've spoken about it quite a bit in the past. If you don't know what this is, I'll briefly explain it for you. The 200-week SMA is a moving average. It's this green line here that has marked the macro bottom on every single Bitcoin bear market in the entirety history of Bitcoin, right? So it marked the macro bottom in terms of weekly candles. We're not talking about wicks in terms of weekly candles. It marked the bottom in 2015, marked the bottom in 2018, marked the bottom in 2020 during the COVID drop, and as of right now, it's questionable as to whether it will mark the bottom or not, because we have actually closed a weekly candle slightly below it, right? So basically, we have 24 hours here, or whatever it is, close to 24 hours. You can see the number right there on the screen to get back above this before the next weekly candle close. And if we do manage to get back above it, this drop could be labeled a fake out, and it could still act as the macro bottom indicator for Bitcoin. So it's very important, right? And the importance cannot be understated. I mean, not only has this marked the macro bottom for Bitcoin on 3 separate occasions, but it's also marked a 10-month consolidation period in 2015. It's marked a 4-month consolidation period in 2018, and it marked a 1-month consolidation period during the peak of volatility in which Bitcoin dropped down 50% in one single daily candle in the COVID drop. So the strength of this moving average, the 200 moving average, cannot be understated in the slightest. It is the single strongest moving average we have on Bitcoin in terms of a support zone. And it will be very interesting to see what happens within the next 24 hours. And so what I'm going to get you guys to watch is not only this weekly candle and whether it gets back above it. By the way, it would need to get back above around 22.4K to secure a close above the 200-week SMA, labeling this drop a fake out. But also the hourly chart is quite interesting as well, because, you know, obviously if we're looking at a shorter term time period, like 22 hours until the weekly candle closes, we need to be looking at the hourly chart and seeing what really needs to happen there. And essentially where we need to go on the hourly chart is get to and above, so 22.4K, we would need to get above this line that I've just drawn in. I'll make it a thick pink line so you can see it. We would need to get above that line within the next 22 hours in order to secure a weekly candle close above the 200-week SMA on Bitcoin. Now, this is where it really starts to get a bit, I guess, exhausting from an analysis perspective, right? Because what we have is a pennant formation. Okay, yes, it was a bearish pennant formation, this pink triangle here. We actually broke it to the upside, which is untypical from a pennant formation. And so from that, you would assume, well, yeah, easily we'll get back above it. However, now, after the breakout, complicating things extensively, we have actual ascending channel formation. It could be seen as an ascending wedge formation, depending on what your time frame is. I'm going to say it's an ascending channel formation, which is also a bearish formation. So we've seen a breakout, we've seen a bullish breakout, and immediately after the breakout, literally seconds after the breakout, we went straight into forming a bearish formation that indicates we break to the downside. And so there is a very, very strong chance, in fact, I would say it's probably a bit more likely, that Bitcoin is unable to get back above the 22.4K region, and hence it's unable to get back above the 200-week SMA before the weekly candle close here. I think that it won't. However, at this point, it's very, very close. It's only 22 hours away. And so regardless of what my prediction is, I think we should just be waiting and seeing what happens there. And so that's the first thing you need to be watching, right? So is it going to get back above the 200-week SMA or not? Obviously, if it does, it will label this current whole drop below it as a fake out, and it would bring back the possibility of Bitcoin bottoming out on the 200-week SMA like it typically does. And obviously, if we don't get back above it within the next 22 hours, we close another weekly candle below it, that would just further consolidate the fact that this, in fact, is a very, very strong resistance now. So the 200-week SMA would have gone from a very strong support to a very strong resistance, and it would have bolstered the bearish argument a little bit more. Now, if you guys don't already know, I know some people probably don't, I'm of the opinion that it's probably more likely that Bitcoin goes downwards further here. I don't personally think the bottom is in. I do respect the idea, and this is going into our second point here, I do respect the idea that we could have something like this, which is an uptrending line on Bitcoin, macro uptrending line, which could in fact indicate some sort of bottom on Bitcoin. I'm still respecting that idea to this day, but if I had to guess, I would say that this uptrending line will be broken. And this is leading on to our second thing to watch here on Bitcoin. So the first thing, the 200-week SMA. This is the second thing I think you need to be watching. And I've spoken about this in a few previous videos. I think Mega Crypto is very big about speaking about this line. He speaks about it quite often. And he holds significant weight to this line, and I think he's not wrong in doing so, right? I think that this uptrending line, much like the 200-week SMA, although to a lesser extent of a 200-week SMA, is a macro bottom indicator on Bitcoin. And so I think, secondly, we need to be watching this line. We need to be watching how Bitcoin reacts to this line. Obviously, if Bitcoin extensively for a long period of time holds this line, now it's not illogical to see dead cat bounces on lines that you will further go on to break them to the downside. However, if Bitcoin holds this line and it bounces up and it breaks above critical resistance, such as, zooming out here, such as 28.6K or such as, 33K, if we zoom out to the one-day chart, we can see that red box is the critical resistance zone. If Bitcoin's holding that macro line that we're looking at here and breaks above that resistance, then we can start thinking, okay, maybe this macro line did in fact indicate the bottom in this bear market, just like it did in previous bear markets. But until that point, we do need to just watch it, and we do need to understand that given the macro situation, there is a possibility, in my opinion, a fairly strong possibility that it will be breaking to the downside. But nevertheless, it is a line we need to be watching simply due to the fact that it has marked the macro bottom, just like the 200-week SMA in both of the previous bear markets. In fact, it didn't actually mark the macro bottom in 2018, but it did during the COVID drop, during peak volatility there. And as of this point, we have no reason to believe it's anything but valid, right? It's obviously a valid line because we've seen a strong wick off of it, and we've seen a strong bounce off of it, right? So this is a very valid line, and it needs to be watched. If we drop below it, obviously that is confirmation that we're heading to a lower support zone on Bitcoin, such as 14K, such as 12K. And if we hold above it, and if we break above, say, 28.6K while holding this line, that might be an indication that perhaps the bear market bottom has been placed, and perhaps we're going through and we're transforming a dead cat bounce into an actual, maybe even a renewal to some sort of bullish trend. Who knows, right? But fact of the matter is, First point for Bitcoin, first most important thing you need to be watching is the 200-week SMA over the next 22 hours. Second most important thing you need to watch is this macro line over a long period of time. And then the third most important thing you need to be watching, in my opinion, is the Bitcoin dominance chart. And people would say, well, why? Why do we need to watch the Bitcoin dominance chart? Now, before we even get into that, what is the Bitcoin dominance chart? This is BTC.D on TradingView. The Bitcoin dominance chart is a chart that measures the strength of Bitcoin in relation to altcoins, right? So if you're talking about what the current data suggests, we can see it's got 43.37% on the screen right now. That means that 43.37% of the money, the total amount of money in cryptocurrency, is in Bitcoin, and obviously the remaining percentage, which would be 57%, would be in altcoins. And so the lower this goes, the higher this chart goes, the higher the percentage goes, it means that more money is in Bitcoin in comparison to altcoins. The lower this chart goes, it means that more money is in altcoins in comparison to Bitcoin. And you can get a very good idea of how the market is trending in terms of altcoin strength in relation to Bitcoin strength. And if you're dissecting that and you're investigating that a little bit, you can actually understand what that means for the money flow in cryptocurrency right now. And so what we generally see, and what we've seen on one occasion, so I guess you could say it's hard to say it's what we generally see, but it makes perfect sense, is that after a bull market, so we've got the 2018 bull market right here, and I'll mark out where the bull market top was. This was the bull market top, January 2018. We saw the Bitcoin dominance chart go from a sharp downwards trend in which everyone was buying into altcoins, because altcoins obviously have the highest, return on investment, and during a bull market, everyone gets hyped up and they just throw their money at altcoins instead of making logical investments into something like Bitcoin. And so you get a massive wave of hype, you get a massive wave of FOMO. Everyone's chucking their money in altcoins. Everyone's chucking money in every single altcoin that jumps out of the woods. And essentially, it leads to a bull market top. Obviously, when the market tops out, that reverses. And people don't want to be playing around with altcoins anymore because the market started to drop. So they're getting a little bit scared. So instead of investing in altcoins, where they have very high return on investment, but also have very high risk, they start investing in something a little bit safer, which would be Bitcoin, where you have a lower return on investment, but also a lower risk. And so in reaction to that, what you see is the strength of Bitcoin in in terms of total dollars in cryptocurrency increasing, and the strength of altcoins in terms of total dollars in cryptocurrency decreasing, and hence you see the Bitcoin dominance chart rise as the percentage of wealth in Bitcoin increases, right? So people are essentially, during bear markets, flocking into Bitcoin to save their capital, right? So they're going from altcoins, they're selling all their altcoins because altcoins are dropping like a rock, and they're flocking into Bitcoin for safety, right? That's how it generally goes. Now, this is what happened in 2018. We saw massive increases in the Bitcoin dominance, all the way up from 35% to a peak of around 74%. So we doubled in Bitcoin dominance valuation throughout the bull market, throughout the bear market, and we would expect the same thing to be happening right now. Instead, we're actually seeing something a little bit strange, right? And this is something that I don't necessarily have an answer to, and it's the reason why I'm telling you to watch it, because I don't have an answer to it, right? I actually don't know what's going on here, and I don't think anyone really does. Bitcoin dominance, yes, it's trending upwards, and it did break out of a triangle formation, in fact, a descending wedge formation. It broke out to the upside. But now, out of a weird kind of, I don't even know what to call it, a stroke of intense volatility, we've seen this actually plummet back within the wedge formation and plummet back to the downside. Now, again, I don't have an explanation for this. If we're going off the trend, if we're going off the logic and what I just explained, in which people flock into Bitcoin during the bear market for safety, we should realistically be seeing this thing go upwards. Instead, we're seeing it go downwards, which represents the fact that maybe people aren't flocking into Bitcoin at the same rate as what they did in the last bear market. This could be due to the fact that Bitcoin's seeing intense volatility. That's volatility that it didn't see in the last bear market, right? So if we're looking at Bitcoin, we go back to the Bitstamp chart, for example, and I'm just going to delete every single indicator I have here just to get a clean, fresh slate so I can tell you. This would be my most likely explanation for it. This will be what I think is happening, right? So you see Bitcoin in the last bear market, sorry. So 2018, it dropped downwards, but ultimately it just went sideways for a very long period of time. In fact, the price was the same on the low on February 2018 as it was in November 2018. So that's a long period. That's 9 months of just sideways price movement. And so during that period of time, people would have formed the opinion that Bitcoin is very safe. Bitcoin's not moving. Bitcoin's not plummeting like every single altcoin was. And Bitcoin is ultimately just a more safe place to keep your money in cryptocurrency, right? Obviously, we saw one decisive drop, which was over within a month, and that was it. And then we saw a bullish trend. Now, this time is entirely different, and this might explain the situation right now. Instead of seeing sideways consolidation, in which everyone's getting convinced that, like in 2018, instead of seeing sideways consolidation, in which everyone's getting convinced that Bitcoin's safe and altcoins are dangerous, what we're actually seeing is Bitcoin dropping massively and altcoins dropping massively. And so we're not getting that narrative. People aren't feeling that like they did in 2018. They're not thinking that, oh yeah, Bitcoin's going to drop less, so I'll put my money in Bitcoin. They're looking at Bitcoin, they're thinking, okay, that's dropping massively. And they're looking at altcoins and they're thinking, okay, that's dropping massively as well. And so we're not seeing a dramatic shift of capital, a dramatic flow of capital from altcoins into Bitcoin, because they're both dropping so massively. Obviously Bitcoin's dropping slightly less than altcoins, but it's really not comparable to 2018. If we look at 2018 again, 9 months of sideways price action, we have seen at the most probably a month and a half of sideways price action before continuing the downwards trend. And so, I said at the start, I don't have an explanation for this, but I think that very well may be the explanation to it, right? We're not seeing the same narrative form because the price action is not the same. We're not seeing the sideways price action. We're just exclusively seeing the downwards price action. And so what does this mean? Well, it doesn't really mean too much other than this. It means that unlike in 2018, Bitcoin is not the safe haven for cryptocurrency at the moment. Now, this may change, but it's interesting to consider. And for that reason, I think it is worth keeping an eye on. So again, recapping the entire video, going over everything. First thing you need to be watching, right? And let me bring back up my chart here so I can not delete this chart so I can keep it up for the next videos. First thing you need to be watching, in the next 22 hours, by the time this video gets out, maybe the next 21 hours, will Bitcoin close above the 200-week estimate? Second thing you need to be watching, the macro uptrending line. Will Bitcoin hold it? Will Bitcoin drop below it? The third thing you need to be watching, Bitcoin dominance. Is it going to switch and start trending upwards, or due to the high volatility, is it going to continue trending downwards or maybe even sideways, right? So those are the three things you need to be watching on Bitcoin right now, and all of which, in my opinion, have a relatively equal importance. Obviously, when it comes to the shorter term, the most important one you need to be keeping an eye on right now is the 200-week SMA, simply due to the fact that, it's less than a day until it plays out, less than a day until we know the result of that. So keep an eye on that one specifically, but the other two as well are still very, very important. So before I end the video, I do want to talk quickly about Wolves of Crypto VIP. So if you go to my YouTube channel, you go to my YouTube homepage, you can click the join button, which should be right there if you're on a PC device. Click the join button, you can see all of the perks that VIP members get access to. So we're looking at 28 USD a month, which is less than $1 a day. And you're getting access to an altcoin trading signal every second day, which have been extremely profitable in the past here, especially during the high volatility times. I know that we pulled, if you're assuming 10x leverage, over 2,000% profit over a 3-day period. If you're assuming 1x leverage, 200% profit over a 3-day period. You're not going to get much better than that. Storage, which is one of our recent investment, went up 100% in 4 days. We had a lot of members, I think over 10 members there messaging me about how much money they made on storage, which is great to see. And that's what it's all about, really. So altcoin trading signals every second day. Prioritized reply to comments, which is going to be, of crucial importance, especially as the channel grows, if you want to contact me, because obviously as the channel grows, I'm not going to have time just logistically to get back to every single comment. And so I need to have some sort of filtering out system which I can prioritize which comments to get back to, and I can kind of leave some to the side just for the sake of saving me some time. And so if you sign up to the VIP, I'm probably way more likely to get back to your comments. We've got a 2-hour video on market psychology, which is often referred to as the most important video I've ever made, because, not everything's about the charts, right? If you don't understand, you don't have the right mindset, you don't have the right, thinking, thought process around the charts, you're not going to be able to interpret the charts. And so, there's no use of it, right? So that's a market psychology video there, 2 hours packed with content. And then we've got access to my trading view charts that I'll post every single week. So my VIP members can look at my charts in their own time and see what I'm looking at. So great stuff there. Go ahead and click the join button if you haven't already. And then moving forward, I've got the BitGet Exchange. Now, this is what the VIP group uses, and we use it for futures mainly. For spot, we mainly use Binance. For futures, we use BitGet. The reason we use futures for BitGet is because it's half the fees of Binance, and also Binance doesn't actually offer futures to people in Australia. I think also people potentially in Canada. I'm not actually sure, but I know specifically for Australia because I'm from Australia, and the regulation in Australia has been pretty intense in cryptocurrency, and so Binance has actually stopped offering futures, but BitGet has still stuck around and started offering them, even if you KYC, and that's the beauty of this exchange. You do not need to KYC. You do not need to link your identity to the exchange. It's playing true to the cards of cryptocurrency. So I highly recommend you sign up to BitGet and get access to rewards for using my referral link as well. More information about that in the description. And then the last thing I want to look at here is Become a Trader, a 10-unit course from the Crypto Academy. If you want to learn how to trade, if you want to take advantage of the price action in the bear market, in which maybe you're not trading too much, I personally am, maybe you're not, and you want to take advantage of all that free time you've got that you wouldn't have in a bull market to learn how to trade, so you can come back with a vengeance and get better in the next bull market, or maybe even in the bear market, you can come and check out the website, Become a Trader, developed by myself and Mega Crypto. We take you from step 1 to step infinite about trading and what you need to know to become a trader, hence the title. Check out the website and chuck us an email here at cryptoacademycourses@gmail.com. To find out more information, and we'll also send you a pamphlet of what the course looks like, the payment information, etc., everything you need to know. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave some questions in the comment section. I want to start, getting some questions again so I can answer them at the end of the video, just to keep the topics fresh and keep everything fresh, so people can come back and watch the videos over and over again. And obviously, if you want your question answered, well, there you go. Ask an interesting question. I'll try answer it as best I can, and in the most helpful way that I can. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Catch you in the next one. Cheers.